and I'm very excited to have Britney Alexander, Yuli Ibarra, right? Did I say that right, Yuli? And Sasha Parker.
The industry we're in is very male dominated. So as females, we're bringing a different perspective.
Being in the industry or being, and then people would ask me like, what do you do? Oh, I work for what's a public adjuster? And I could just.
To me, that's one of the most important things about women coming into the industry is
that a thing? Is that a question you ask? Or any adjuster that comes on and you say, hey, look, this is what the job entails. Are you prepared to do stuff like this? You're going to have to be on the field. It's Miami, it's Florida.
Wherever you're at in a ladder of success of whatever your chosen career or path is, I think it's important to bring people with you as you move up the ladder.
I kind of found myself constantly explaining what I did or what the company I work for did, what a public adjuster was.
Since I've done that, it has been, I have a renewed passion for everything.
I don't know if you guys will nod your head or if you guys could agree, but I think what helps us become also better mentors is because we had good mentors for ourselves.
But we now have 3 other female PAs, one which I did mentor and train. And
what's up, advocates? And welcome back to another episode of the Claims Game Podcast. What a special episode we have for you today, an all-ladies panel of Claims Game Podcast. Before I get into that, make sure that you follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Make sure that you go on our website, www.commercialclaimsadvocate.com, to find out everything that you need to know about my mentoring and coaching, about this book that we have for sale, that we're going to have for sale, about our live Zoom courses, and about our meetups. We have so many things going on, and you can get all of that information. And now we have an amazing free ebook that we're giving away that all you have to do is give us your email address. It's not an email grab. We are actually going to provide you with very valuable information in like a 35-page ebook that you're going to get if you leave your email address on the website. And what was I going to say is make sure that you follow this wherever you're watching. Make sure you like and comment on this podcast on YouTube, on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, and on iTunes as well. So let's get right into it. Today, we've got an amazing episode, all-lady panel of public adjusters and just insurance claim adjusters, because we've got an attorney too. So the first person that we have is Sarah Parker. Sarah Parker, I say this only about a very select few of people. She's one of the smartest people I know. She's an amazing public adjuster out of Minneapolis. Her company is Parker Public Adjusting. She's a motivational speaker. She is a mentor, and she is super, super intelligent. Make sure that you follow her on Facebook because you could just send her a message, and I guarantee you, I promise you, I'm telling you this without even asking her. If you send her a message and you ask her a question about claims, she will answer you, okay? She's an amazing writer. She's got an amazing blog on her website, and you have to just check this out. So Sarah Parker, really great. Yuli Rodong is a public adjuster out of Miami, Florida, in Monarch Claims. Monarch Claims is a killer public adjusting firm in Miami, Florida. And the reason why I say it's a killer firm is because they've got everything laid out, policies, procedures, and an actual legitimate, a sophisticated way of not only running their business, but handling their insurance claims. If you look them up on Google, you'll see 5-star ratings and a lot of reviews because they don't screw up. They represent their policyholders the way they're supposed to. And a big reason for that is Yuli and her team at Monarch. And then the last person is the famous, the infamous Britney Alexander. You could get her, she's a lawyer.brit on Instagram. Really great follow, really great information. She has taken this attorney and litigation, insurance claims law to social media with just great education, great knowledge. She's a public speaker as well. Her company is Premier Property Law. If you want an attorney for your claims, put Britney Alexander on your list. You want her on your list. She's a killer attorney, very good at what she does, and just a lot of valuable information on social media. She's got a really great podcast as well. And that's what we got. I'm really excited. I've been wanting to do an all-female panel for a while. We finally did it, so I hope you enjoy it. We talk about everything from females in public adjusting to the claims process to get these claims settled and the things that we need to do to be successful as adjusters and in being victorious on these insurance claims. So I hope you enjoy this episode, a very special episode. And if you're a lady, you got to be watching this. So enjoy the Claims Game Podcast.
Welcome to the Claims Game Podcast with Vince Perry. Get all the tips you need from insurance claim advocates and professionals and grow your public adjusting career to the next level. And now the commercial claims advocate, Vince Perry.
All right. Very, very special episode that we have today. I'm so excited to be doing this podcast. I've been wanting to do this podcast for a very long time, and it's with just ladies in our industry. And I'm very excited to have Britney Alexander, Yuli Ibarra, right? Did I say that right, Yuli? And Sasha Parker. So I'm going to start with Britney. Britney Alexander is an attorney. Her firm is Premier Property Law. She's been practicing for quite a while now, and she's got a huge social media presence on YouTube, on Facebook, and especially on Instagram. So Britney, welcome.
Thanks, Vince. Happy to be here.
And then we've also got Yuli Ibarra. Yuli Ibarra is a public adjuster. She's been in the industry for quite a while now, 14 years to be exact. And she's been a public adjuster now for, I think it's been, 2-3 years, an actual licensed public adjuster with Monarch, right?
Yes. Correct. Yes, 2 years.
Okay.
Yes.
And yes.
Am I breaking up again?
A little bit, but that's okay. She works for Monarch Claims, and she's just great. I've met her several times. I've been on a podcast. She's been on our podcast before. Again, this is the second time you're on the podcast, Yuli.
Yes, thank you. Glad to be back.
And I'm just really happy to have just another female in the industry on this podcast. And then we've got Sarah Parker. Sarah Parker lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Sarah Parker is a public adjuster, and she's been a public adjuster since 2015.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She took our course, and she really stood out because Sarah knows a ton about what she's doing. Like she said, she's got a lot of great mentors. She mentioned that before we got on. And frankly, one of the smartest people I know. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it, Sarah.
Thank you. I'm very flattered.
And Sarah's got a blog that she just started, so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. But I think it's only right to start, I guess, since we've got ladies here in the industry. I'd like to start with sort of, one thing that we were discussing off air was, I think it was Britney, you mentioned we need more ladies in the industry. And that's the reason why I wanted to do this, because I think I've told this to Yuli in the past, where I think that female public adjusters can be extremely successful in this industry. And that's for a couple of reasons. One of them, I think, is because the sales aspect of it. I think you go door to door, or you speak to a new client, or a client has just suffered a catastrophic loss, to have that female presence come in and tell them, hey, look, I'm a public adjuster. My job is to do X, Y, and Z. We can take care of you, and everything is going to be okay. I think that's extremely beneficial. But then also, negotiating with the insurance company, meeting the adjusters out in the inspection, where you could just sort of get that camaraderie with that person. You could bring that male sort of chauvinistic, weight down a bit. Say, hey, look, because I'll go out to an inspection and sometimes they just kind of want to fight. I don't see that happening as often. I hope not. If a female public adjuster or female even attorney goes up there and does that. But anyway, I'm getting off topic, I guess, a little bit. Britney, if you could discuss a little bit about obviously needing more ladies in this industry.
Yeah, it even beyond, just in the field, just dealing with clients in general, right? So everybody brings a different perspective and different experiences to whatever industry they're in. And, the industry we're in is very male dominated. So as females, we're bringing a different perspective into this. So like my perspective coming into this was primarily to educate. So that's why I started my Instagram, Lawyer Brit, started educating people. So instead of just like, hey, I need to get out there and market and bring in claims, it was a lot of like, well, I think the first order of business is to educate people. And maybe that's just, a different perspective that I had, as a female in this industry, not knowing a single thing in the beginning, wanting to educate people first, just a different perspective.
And if Julie, if you could piggyback on that, why do you think it's important to just have more ladies in this industry?
Well, I definitely agree with Britt on the education part. And that's actually why we started, our podcast, was to educate homeowners, to advocate, for them. And I definitely do think that, us women, we bring, it's like a different kind of, I want to say like power, to the table and to the negotiations and everything. And I feel like we can do it the same as any other, male PA, but I feel like we have, just in general, women, we have better negotiation, techniques. I don't know. I think it's harder for us to lose. I don't know if the other ladies agree with us, but I think that bringing that, to the industry, to other adjusters, I think they see that. And then of course we have a soft side, so we have to use that to our advantage, to help, our clients.
It's like I said, I mean, a lot of times I'll get on the phone, even like I was saying, and I forget in person, but even on the phone, I'll call an adjuster and we start going back and forth, and it gets a little hostile sometimes. Not to say it's not going to happen because you're a lady, but I don't know. I think sometimes I probably come off, I'll even blame myself at times. I probably come off as a little strong. And I do feel like just negotiating with the other side, speaking to them about your common interest, which is always the insured. Let's work together. Let's figure this out. I mean, I just think that, having just an understanding, and I just feel like women do have a little bit of a better understanding of seeing the other side, of having some compassion for the other side, whether that be with the insured, or whether that be with the opposing counsel, or whether that be with the opposing adjuster. Sarah, what do you think?
EQ, I think.
It's what?
EQ, right? So women usually tend to have a higher EQ, emotional intelligence, than men. So that probably comes into play with what you're saying.
No, 100%. Sarah, what do you think are some of the advantages?
I really like what Britt said about the perspectives. I think to me, that's one of the most important things about women coming into the industry. Is I do believe that everyone has something to offer, which is why I have a huge network that I bounce ideas off of all the time, because you can't be your own sounding board. And the more of a diverse group of people that you have, you're going to get a lot of different valuable perspectives on things, and that can only be good. So
you were speaking about something earlier off camera, Sarah, about you have a good sort of group of mentors that you are able to look after.
Absolutely. Oh, fantastic. Absolutely wonderful.
I was talking about that in our course yesterday, about the importance of having a mentor. Like there's you need to know where to get your license. You need to find a place to educate yourself. You need to find a good firm. But honestly, on top of all that, hopefully your firm could provide it. But mentorship is very important. And I think the three of you, with the experience that you have become, I'm sure, mentors to others as well. Sarah, since you had brought that up off camera, could you tell me a little bit about your experience, not only having a good mentor or its importance, but also having the opportunity to mentor others?
Absolutely. So when I first got my public adjuster license, no one would hire me, which I don't blame them for, because it was just this random person calling up, PA firms in my area saying, hey, I have zero experience in the insurance industry. Will you hire me? And, to hire a public adjuster, there's so much education that needs to go into that to be able to perform your duties effectively. So I don't blame them, first on. But I was forced to basically start learning on my own. How does this work? How do I help my clients? All of those things. So basically, I just started calling people. I'd look up XYZ law firm or find people online and call them and say, hey, I'm a new public adjuster. Can you answer some questions? You would be astonished about how receptive people are and how willing they are to help people who are passionate and excited to do the best that they can do. So I'm very much a product of some fantastic mentors that are still with me today and that I keep in touch with. When you mentor someone else, oh my gosh, I cannot, it's so beautiful. Let's just say that. So, when you mentor someone else, you revisit and you relearn things that you've forgotten, or just basic things. When you are teaching someone else, you are also learning. And not only with that, but I've had some of my mentees just, oh my goodness, just do some things that I'm so proud of. One thing that I always teach people is, just because someone says something doesn't mean that it's true. Find evidence, back it up. Where did you learn that? Why did you learn that? Who did you learn it from? Was there evidence to go with this? because, well, first off, that's how you do your job as a public adjuster. You need evidence for everything, that you're arguing. But also because there's some coverage things that people don't know about. Man, I had a mentee come to me and ask me a specific question. And I told them, you know what? I don't think that it's possible for these reasons, but you should try. And, even with me, I always tell my mentees, even with me, second guess what I say. Look it up for yourself, learn for yourself. They came back to me a few months later and said, Sarah, I got it approved. And I was just like, that's exactly what you should be doing, is just testing everything.
You know what I love is that all four of us here, we've got a bit of a social media influence, some more than others, and it's really allowed us to take on that mentorship role, right? And it's so rewarding when we're able to help others out and just sort of guide them through their career. Because I think I don't know if you guys will nod your head or if you guys could agree, but I think what helps us become also better mentors is because we had good mentors for ourselves. Brittany, in regards to what's been the effect for you as far as being able to help others in your industry as a result of your social media influence and the people you've got? Because I don't know about you, and I know for sure because you've got a lot of followers. I get messages every day of people asking me questions. What's it like to now be able to sort of fulfill that role that I'm sure someone was there to help you and now you're there to help others?
It's so much fun. I love answering DMs, sending voice messages, giving somebody a little like tidbit or just pointing them in the right direction. It's fun for me. I love building my social media presence. And honestly, I mean, I get DMs like, hey, I just bought a house and I have this issue, but a lot of my DMs, my emails, people reaching out to me are like, hey, like, how do I start posting this? Or like, what was the first step you did here? Or, just information about how to get started on social media. So, I mean, I love it. So I'm like a social media geek. So it's fun for me beyond just, helping other people. It's like fun for me to talk about and kind of strategize with other people about it. And something else that popped into my mind when Sarah was talking is having mentors in multiple different areas, so to speak. So, I'm fortunate enough to have many mentors, but not all of them are attorneys. Not all of them are in this industry. Some of them are in completely different industries, but they have accomplished things that I want to accomplish. So I like asking them for their perspective and their views and, what they would do in certain situations. I think that's important to get different, again, perspectives.
I mean, it's the age-old thing that they always say, you want to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you,
Exactly.
Yuli, I'm sure you could also attest to this, right? I mean, I know I've been to your office. I don't know how many licensed PAs you've got. I know you have women working in the office, but I feel, and I don't know if I'm stepping over my boundaries, I feel like you're one of the more experienced female PAs in the office, correct?
I am, but we now have 3 other female PAs, one which I did mentor and train. And so where I come from, or the firm that I was with the 12 years, I was not a PA. It was a small business where it was only men that were the PAs. And not just because, we were women, but it was kind of like they really didn't allow people to really, not that they didn't like to get licensed, but they didn't really promote, that progress. So I learned as much as I could, during my time there, every department, every step of the way, the whole entire process, just not being a licensed PA. And then, I had known the president of Monarch for a couple of years, gave me the opportunity, to come over, and I became a licensed PA. And then I didn't even know how much I knew until I actually, started teaching other people or helping other people. And that's when I realized, all this knowledge that I had from, that I had gathered in 12 years, how valuable it was. And once I started mentoring other people, training other people, it's very rewarding, like Sarah was saying, when you teach something, it's like you learn it again, you review it again. And then that's when I realized, what I knew, how much I knew, and seeing, other mentors of people that I trained now training other people. It's like, it's so rewarding, to see that, to help other people, and then to see that they can continue helping others as well. And that, your knowledge gets, passed on, or what was passed on to you, you continue growing. something I tell my mentors also, it's like, nobody knows everything. I don't know everything, nobody knows everything. In this industry, in this business, there's so many different scenarios. There's so many different cases. I still see cases that I've never seen in 14 years. I've never seen a case like it. So it's all about, using your resources, whether you have mentors or just other people in the industry that, it's reaching out to those resources before you, make a final decision, or before you, take a step, it's reaching out, looking for help, asking questions. There's nothing wrong with always asking questions. We're all learning every day. We learn something new.
Do you guys feel like you have a responsibility to try to bring up the industry and bring in more females? Sarah, you're nodding your head.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tell me about that. Or Yuli?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I actually have an interview this afternoon, a Zoom interview with a potential PA candidate, and it's a female. So
it's like
excited
different
about that.
Is that like, you're like a little bit more excited about that? Not that you wouldn't be for other people. Is that a little bit different? Like, yeah, let's bring them on. We want to try to see if we can get that going.
I mean, we do agree we need more females in the industry and in the company. I mean, I'm excited for any new PA that wants to learn, that wants to join the team, that wants to grow, but it's definitely exciting to know it's another, another possible female PA joining the team.
Sarah, you were nodding your head when I initially asked the question.
Yeah, I mean, I think all three of us are definitely on the same page. We feel it's a responsibility, not only just to thank our mentors by doing the same thing, but because every single thing that we're doing in our careers every day, people 50 years ago, 40 years, I mean, public adjusters have been around since the 1940s. So, everything that we're utilizing to advocate for our clients, someone else put the effort in and may have not even seen the fruits of their labor during their career, but they cared enough about policyholders and they cared enough about us without knowing us to do that. So it's a huge responsibility to elevate the industry.
Brittany, did you have a comment about that?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with what Sarah was saying, especially in the legal field. There are plenty of people who have never seen the fruits of their labor, but at any point in time, I think it's important, wherever you're at in a ladder of success of whatever your chosen career or path is, I think it's important to bring people with you as you move up the ladder, especially women, because it's somewhat different of an experience from men, and especially in male-dominated industries. So helping another woman navigate that is very important to me.
Yeah, it's definitely male-dominated, and I still don't understand. Like, I go to we had our last meetup in Tampa. There's way too many men. Can you guys come to my meetups, please? We need more women.
We will. I'll be there, the Miami one.
It just doesn't, it really doesn't make sense to me. This would be more towards Yuli and Sarah. How do you guys like the job in general? Besides I'm going to point this more towards Yuli and Sarah because we're out on the field a lot, right? And I'm sure you guys could agree. How do you guys like the part of the industry of getting your boots on and getting that ladder set up and getting on that roof and inspecting the shingles and doing everything you got to do and walking a commercial association and having to go from building to building? And how do you guys like that part of the job? That's to either whoever wants to answer that question. Sarah. Oh, okay. Julie.
Okay. So my role is a little diverse. I'm not in the field so much because of, I also, have some administrative, management roles in the office. But whenever I do go out in the field, I love it, honestly. I love going out in the field, getting up on the roof, pulling up to a house. I've had a couple, like sometimes I'll take my husband's truck to an inspection, and then here I step out of this huge truck and I'm 5 feet tall, and the adjusters look at me like, oh, they thought it was a guy, or they're expecting somebody else. And I think it's fun, to have those comments and to know that, there's nothing I can't do in getting up on a roof, climbing up on a ladder, conducting inspection. I think it's fun. I enjoy it when I get those field days that I get to go out and conduct those inspections. And people would ask me, are you afraid of heights? And I said, I'm not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of falling, but I'm not afraid of heights.
Is
it's
that
a great view once you're up there.
Is that a thing? Is that a question you ask any adjuster that comes on and you say, hey, look, this is what the job entails. Are you prepared to do stuff like this? You're going to have to be on the field. It's Miami. It's Florida. It's hot. It's Minneapolis in the summer. It's hot to be out there. Is that something that you prepare them for?
We do, especially at the interviews. We tell them, make sure that they're not scared of heights, that they physically are able to climb a ladder, possibly 2-story roofs, get into attics. Our estimators too. We do ask all those questions, and we have actually helped some of our adjusters overcome, the fear of heights, or safety training, how to get up on a roof and things like that. So that's something that it's not an obstacle if they're willing to allow us to help them work through that. But we have had some adjusters overcome some of those, fears or obstacles.
Sarah, is your mic okay?
Yeah, I had a little bit of technical difficulty there for a moment, but can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
So how do you like that portion of the job?
I really enjoy it, especially for, I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to ever, do a historic structure, whether it's registered or just an older property. But some of those are really neat. I think it's very important for public adjusters to do so, because you really need to understand the construction side of it. I always encourage public adjusters to also attend to the restorations of your clients. You stay out of the crew's way, but
Right.
Some of them really enjoy that you're asking questions and that you're involved, and want to know about it. So definitely attend the inspections, attend the builds. It's really important, and it's quite fascinating as well. So.
Well, and I also think it's very important that we are out in the field as much as possible, that we are documenting the evidence, because I'm sure Britney can attest, there's nothing worse than getting a file 3 months, 4 months, 5 months after the loss occurs, and you open up the file and there's no photos and there's no documentation. That's probably a common problem, right?
Yeah, all the time. People will send me files and be like, is this a good claim? And then there's no photos of the roof. And I'll be like, I can't tell you if it is or not.
Then they say she's
I
not a
don't know
good
how you
attorney
know.
because she can't work with this.
Right. And then she's the bad attorney, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what? You can't settle this claim? Well, that's why I think it's important that we keep trying to educate people. I mean, that's honestly one of the biggest reasons why I started the course and I started training other adjusters. It's just because of the fact that I'm tired of hearing bad things about public adjusters, because every public adjuster I meet, for the most part, are really great people, Like any other industry, you got your bad apples, but I could understand how if you are paying somebody 10, 15, 20% and they're not doing anything on your file, that could become rather annoying. Or if you've got attorneys who are trying to do their best at their end, they need to have the good public adjusters out there who know how to document the evidence. And I think the more that we continue to unite, not just ladies, but obviously public adjusters and everybody in this industry continue to unite and feed off one another and ask questions and help each other and mentor each other, honestly, I think we're going to get a lot stronger. I have a good feeling. I do see a nice future. Yes, the insurance companies are always trying to put more limits on the policy and put more rules and laws and statutes against us and so on and so forth. But I do ultimately feel that if we continue to sort of come together, that it's just going to make our industry stronger and make our claims a lot better when we present them.
And there are solutions coming for those coverage gaps too.
What do you got, Sarah? What kind
Have you guys heard of United Policyholders at all?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have.
They just celebrated 30 years of service. So they are the OG, policyholder advocacy nonprofit. They started out in California as a result of wildfires. And the current executive director, Amy Bach, which is another female, wonderful attorney. She started UP, and they work nationwide. And we are currently working on something called the Restoring the Insurance Safety Net Coalition, or RISC, in which we're going to be doing some studies, gathering information about, the emerging coverage gaps that are really just becoming quite detrimental, and hopefully establishing in some way, shape, or form minimum insuring standards, which is ambitious, but we can do it.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, we're on uphelp.org, and it basically says that United Policyholders, a nonprofit 501c3 whose mission is to be trustworthy and useful information resource and a respected voice for consumers of all types of insurance in all 50 states. We don't make money from insurance companies. We give you the straight scoop and guide you on buying insurance and navigating claims. Fight for your rights. Yeah, I think that's awesome. We need more things like that. I mean, we need more things that, again, we're just doing whatever we can for the insured, because if they're trying to do it if the carrier is trying to do it against us and trying to make our lives difficult, ultimately they're only making the insured's life much more difficult, at the end of the day. So what's it like in your industry, Britney? We're not attorneys. I already know that there's no women in the industry in public adjusting, unfortunately, not nearly enough. Just to tell you about the meetup, it was like ridiculous, like I said. What's it like in your industry being a female? I think it's not quite.
No, it's not as uneven, which is fantastic. I had a deposition. This is probably almost a year ago now, but I had a deposition and it was on Zoom because everything's on Zoom now. And the witness, opposing counsel, myself, attorney for the homeowner, and the court reporter were all females. And so we were all sitting on it was like, and I had to comment on it. I was like, this is the first time I've had an all female crew for a deposition. It's great. And it just kind of set the tone for that deposition. Was really great, but it's not nearly as uneven. I work with females on the other side, and I know many other plaintiffs' attorneys who are female on this side as well. So it's enjoyable. I do like it.
Do you think there's an advantage? Like a little bit of an advantage being a female?
Somewhat, yes, because like we've been saying, this industry is still kind of male dominated. So I think there's a bit of a little understanding still when you meet with another female, because it's just like, hey, there's something in common, right? Whenever you speak with somebody and you're trying to negotiate with them, first step is to find common ground, relate to them. So that's like the first thing right out of the bat, right? That they've had similar experiences as you've had in this industry, in law school. So it creates a connection right off the bat, which
Gotcha.
I enjoy.
That's awesome. One of the things I wanted to discuss with all of you guys about, I didn't want to just talk about female versus male industry, stuff like that. One of the things that I admire all three of you is that all of you guys are a part of or own a growing business. I know Britney and I, we rely heavily on virtual assistants. I think Sarah also relies on virtual assistants as well. I know the last time I spoke with Sarah, she was in the process of really growing her team. Yuli and Monarch Claims have a tremendous setup where they are not so much virtual, but they have just an amazing setup, the way they've got their entire firm set up, policies and procedures, and everybody's role. Everybody understands what they do. Yuli, if you could tell us a little bit about Monarch and how you guys are sort of unique and what makes you guys different.
Yeah, so we do have a team of 24 public adjusters. Most are licensed in multiple states. Florida, the Carolinas, Georgia, Texas, Louisiana, and then we have somebody who's like New Jersey, Nevada, so some other states. We're all in-house staff, so we don't have any virtual assistants, although we do have, we have our team in Louisiana, and everything gets handled here in the headquarter office of Miami. We do have also an office in Miramar, an office in Tampa. They're like, smaller locations. And the way we operate, so we're broken into departments. Everything's done in-house. We have an estimating team. Everybody's got their assistants, mortgage procedures handled in-house as well, marketing, all of that. So we have a very good system going on, and we've been expanding. As of recently, as we've been growing the office and expanding the team. And I think honestly that the advantage that we have is, and it sounds cliche, but our clients are really the forefront of our business. And this is something not that we say and that we advertise, it's something that's part of our culture. Vince, has met our team. He's been at our office, and it's something that we really, really make a part of our culture here in the office. Is the client is always the forefront, starting from when a lead comes in, how the claim gets handled, by their adjuster, the service they receive in the office from the assistants, the follow-ups they get, the outcome, obviously, of their claim. But we really, really strive to put our clients first, to put ourselves in their shoes. And understand everybody's situation. We're dealing with people's, livelihoods with their homes, whether it be a total loss, in a hurricane, or, they're down a bathroom in a house, full of kids, or, a kitchen that's not working. But I think that what really sets us apart is, you know, we make our clients our priority and we work every day, you know, towards that same goal. And it's worked out great. So
it's extremely commendable. I've been to your office. I've talked to you guys a lot, and it's really amazing the whole setup you guys got. Because not only do you guys put the customer first, but you are a very family oriented business as well. And you could just tell that you guys all get along. You guys have each other's back, and it's just it just runs like a well-oiled machine. On the flip side, we've got Britney, who doesn't have that kind of thing necessarily going on. And she's a little bit more my style, where everyone's pretty much virtual in their own, not only their own home, but in their own country as well. Britney, if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Not pretty much virtual, 100%. So we're like 100% remote. We do not have an office space. We need to meet with somebody in person. We get an office space we can meet them at. But otherwise, everybody is completely virtual. So right now we have a team of 12. 7 are, including myself, are domestic. And then we have 5 people abroad who are virtual assistants in the Philippines. And then, I mean, even across state lines. So we've got people working in different states as well within the US for us. So 100% remote, 100% virtual. I love it that way. I really do. I think that when you have a remote team, you almost have you have to like make a point. You have to actually try to connect people and talk to people. So it almost opens up communication more, so that people make more, you know, deeper connections or talking to each other more often than if you just like, you know, walked into an office one day and were like, hey, good morning, and, you know, just walked past somebody every day, which I enjoy. I like.
Do you have any trouble building like company culture and like you guys getting along and just having that just sort of common goal, I guess?
Not at all. I would say our company culture is really strong. You know, I always preach efficiency and communication to my team. So I always talk to them about external communication versus internal, not just talking to clients and talking to public adjusters, but talking within ourselves and making sure that everybody knows what's going on and, you know, working in collaboration. And we meet every week on Zoom, and we have, you know, office parties on Zoom, and we get together to celebrate things. So we're looking at each other and talking to each other all the time.
I like that. Office party on Zoom. I got to do that one.
Yeah.
We do the weekly meetings also. We make sure we always follow our core values. You said, what were your 2 things you said?
Efficiency and communication.
We have execution and dependability. So it's, you know,
nice.
As long as everybody's on the same page. Sarah, how do you got your firm set up? I know you're really you're in a growth phase right now. You were getting a little overwhelmed. I remember. I think all of us could agree. You don't really start hiring people until you get to the point where not only are you overwhelmed, but you start not. For me, it was I didn't want to sign any more claims. I just didn't want to sign anymore. I noticed myself sort of saying, you could handle it yourself. Oh, that one's not worth it. I don't think I want to do, because I knew the work that would go on in the back end. Then I realized, okay, I need to start hiring people. Sarah, was that sort of like where you got to, and now it's like, all right, let's do this?
Yeah, I think for me, man, I'm sure some people that will watch this can relate. Very much a person that likes to be hands-on with everything in my business. And if you're a business owner, you should not be totally hands-on with everything in your business. One of my mentors has been screaming at me for about a year prior to my most recent team hires, to just delegate. He's like, why are you doing this? You know, hire more. You know, you have to trust people to do a good job, and they're going to add. They're not going to take anything from your company. Like, you know, you need to just have a good company culture, hire the right people, and it's going to do nothing but add. So since I've done that, it has been, I have a renewed passion for everything, for the business, for what I do. And it's allowed me to also free up my creative thinking to improve our client experience, which is first and foremost, just like Yuli, and I'm sure just like Britt. So yeah, delegate.
I think it's difficult, I think, in the beginning, because it obviously costs money, and you're no longer, I guess, getting 100% of the return. You're going to have to give some of that out, but you don't realize at the time until you actually make that leap that again, it gives you more time. It frees up more time for you to. That's a great comment that you said. I was going to say it frees up more time to sign more work and get more work, but forget that. It frees up more time to allow you to sort of hit that creativity portion of your brain to just sort of reset, rest. Okay, what else can I do to grow, and so on and so forth. I completely agree with that.
And Vince, that goes back to who, not how, as well. I had one of my mentors tell me, like, very early in my business, that once you know you need somebody, or you're, essentially once you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed, I need somebody. Yeah, exactly. Yes. So one of my mentors told me, once you feel like you need somebody, you're overwhelmed, it's already too late. So, be proactive in hiring people. And like I've told you, whenever, we had our first interview, I hired my first virtual assistant like 4 days into opening my firm, because I knew I wanted to set it up in a certain way. So I was thinking about, like, okay, who do I need? Who can I hire? And I totally understand it's hard to like let things go, but just trust in yourself that you will find the right people to join your team.
It's really good advice when you said to not wait until you're overwhelmed, because that's something that I have fallen into that trap as well. And luckily, it's just, I guess, subconsciously, we've actually made 2 new hires in the past 3 weeks or so. One of them was we need it. But then the next one was sort of like a customer support person that we didn't really need at the time. But you know what? Let's set that up now so that as we continue to grow and we're going to have courses and stuff and products that we're going to be selling online, there's going to be a lot more influx of phone calls. Why hire somebody then? Let's hire somebody on the front end to take care of that. So I agree. Another thing I wanted to talk about, back to the women thing, what would you tell, as far as public adjusters is concerned, what would you tell, what would you say for women to, like, how would you get started into this industry? What would you advise them to sort of, maybe to prepare themselves, or just, how about this? I'd rather pose the question, what do you think are the benefits of being a public adjuster and being in this industry? We could pose that to Yuli.
I mean, my first advice would be just not to be afraid. Like, don't be afraid to try anything that you want to do. If that be public adjusting, then don't be afraid. Try it, do it. You don't know if you're good at it until you try it. And if you have good mentors, like, we're talking about the mentors, if you have a good support system, then you're going to succeed. If it's for you, if you like it, if you try it. I think that, the biggest thing with doing anything is overcoming fear. I think that's the most important thing.
I'm going to get back to that question, but you made me think of a better question. Yuli, you first. How in the hell did you become a public adjuster? And why did you want to become a public adjuster?
So
what's your story?
Yeah, my story is, and I think I touched on a little bit earlier. So I studied public administration. I thought I wanted to be a public servant. I worked for a municipality for 5 years, and I went to work for the state of Florida for about a year before I got into this industry. And it was just completely random. I didn't know what a public adjuster was. I was still in college, and I got a call from an ex-coworker of mine who had gone to work with his cousin, who was a public adjuster, and told me they were hiring, and he thought it was a great fit. And I was like, I don't know. It was just an opportunity. I wasn't even looking for it. It kind of just, came to me. And that's how I got introduced into the public adjusting world. And then slowly, 12 years later in that company, I learned, every aspect of the company, every part of, the business, the claim process, and, appraisal and all of that. And so being in the industry, or being, and then people would ask me, like, what do you do? Oh, I work for what's a public adjuster? And I just kind of found myself constantly explaining what I did, or what the company I work for did, what a public adjuster was. And so a couple of times I considered becoming a public adjuster. I graduated, got my degree in public administration, decided I didn't want to go back into that, field. I'm sure that's happens often. And then, so a few years ago, I met Edgar, who's the president of Monarch Claims, and he kept telling me, even a few years before I joined Monarch, could become a public adjuster. And I had so many family and friends that I would refer to the company I work with, because, if you know somebody who works somewhere, you need their services, why would you call anybody else? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Because my internet said it was a little unstable, so make sure you don't lose me. So throughout those years, I just unknowingly created this huge network of people that would just keep referring clients to me, that I would refer to the company, and they kept referring to me. And so when I finally decided, to do this and come up with Monarch and public adjuster, those people kept calling me, and that's how I didn't even know I had created this huge, database of clients. And I honestly, I don't advertise. I don't personally, I don't constantly look for new clients. It's all based on referrals of all the people for the last 14 years that have known what I do, the industry that I'm in, that keep calling me, that refer their family, their friends. And that's how I got into the public adjusting world. It just
That
pure coincidence.
I tell everybody all the time, like, I can teach you everything there is about claims. I can teach you how to properly take photos, how to put together an estimate, how to sketch a house, how to scope a loss, how to follow up with the insurance company, how to gather documentation, how to do all this stuff. But you're not doing any of that stuff if you don't have claims.
Exactly.
So, you know, that goes back to the EQ of people trusting you, knowing you, and feeling comfortable to actually proceed with that claim. Sarah, what was your story? Why public adjusting? So weird.
Well,
I've got a question for you too, Brittany. So you're next.
man, I think a lot of people kind of just fell into this. So I had a very good friend who had a fire loss, a very tragic one, lost everything, house completely burned to the ground. And she had hired a public adjuster, and unfortunately it was a nightmare experience with both her insurance company and her public adjuster. So being with her and supporting her through that whole experience, first my question to her was what is a public adjuster? And she told me, about it and everything like that. And she's like, I think you could do better. And I looked into it and I was like, yeah, I think I could try that out. It was quite fascinating. There's information about it on the internet, but when you really look into it, it's this fascinating blend of, forensics and science and meteorology, construction, architecture. I mean, the list is endless. And so it was just very intriguing. And I had considered getting my law degree at some point, and I figured if I try out being a public adjuster, it seems like this is sort of in the same area of advocacy. And I just fell in love with it from day one. When I opened the study book, I was like, this is for me. So
that's awesome. I know, Brittany, you get a lot of messages. I don't know. I only know because when you do that question thing where you ask me anything or whatever, it seems to me from what I've seen that you get a lot of questions about people interested in becoming lawyers and getting into your industry. What's some of the advice that you give for people who are thinking about practicing your kind of law, insurance law, and everything that you do on a daily basis?
Yeah. So, I mean, for the newbie people who are, like, hey, I don't know if I want to do this kind of law or, whatever else. I mean, at the end of the day, you can do so much with a law degree. If you find a path that you want to take and then you're torn between that and a law degree, I would obviously say try the other thing out first. But if you're really interested, get the law degree. I loved, learning about the law, learning how lawyers think. That's the whole point of law school, is just to teach you how to think like an attorney. I think it's totally worth it. I loved it. And then people who are trying to find their practice area, I always think that you should go wherever like you're constantly thinking, wherever your desire lays. So, I have people who are like, oh, like this industry is so hot right now, I want to get into it, but I really like family law. And I'm like, okay, well then do family. Like, if you're thinking like this is cool, I want to get into this, and keep thinking about a practice area, keep thinking about something, then go do that, right? Try it out. If you hate it, try something different. You don't have to stick to one practice area forever. I kind of like fell into this practice area kind of came to me, so to speak. But if you can't stop thinking about something, if you're like, this is really, I want to try this out, go try it. Could be awesome. Could be exactly what we want to do.
I think we could all agree it sort of came to us. It's just sort of how it went. It's just sort of like, I never even knew what a public adjuster was until I was teaching tennis and my student was a public adjuster. That's my story. He was coming for 4 lessons per week at $75 a lesson. He was coming twice a week in the morning and bringing his kids twice a week in the evening. And he was always there. I'm like, where do you find the time and the money to do this? He's like, I'm a public adjuster. And I'm like, what the hell is that? So I did a little research and I found out. What about you, Yuli? What's some of the advice that you would give for, let's go with a woman who's on the fence thinking about it. Do I want to become a public adjuster? Is this something that I want to pursue? Do I want to get into this industry? What's some of the advice that you would give?
I first have them like, what are the reasons you want to get into it? Like, what do you like about it? Is it you just, the money? Yeah. I mean, Right. It's the money, but then you have to see like, what's the work? Do I like the money that's going to give me the work? Or am I just going to do this? You know, is it just going to be a job? And, you know, it's going to, because a lot of things could, you know, make you money, but do you like, you know, so try it out. Speak to other public adjusters, interview other public adjusters, watch some podcasts, you know, educate yourself, and find out, what does the job entail? Is it something that I would like, that I would enjoy? The money will come. And, you know, we hear that all the time. It's not the only industry where you could make a lot of money, but is it something that you think you would be passionate about? Would you enjoy it? Would you enjoy helping, you know, homeowners, and the process that it takes to help? Because you know, may want to help, but, you know, are you going to enjoy the process? You know, retaining clients, that's a big part of our job, is looking for clients, you know, the sales part of it. So you have to kind of look, you know, educate yourself on every aspect of the career, of the job. Like I said, interview, talk to other public adjusters, find out if it's something that, you know, you think you would enjoy, and give it a try. Again, just try it out. You don't like it, then on to the next, you know, but give it a, you know, find out and give it a chance.
How about you, Sarah? What's some of the advice you would give for somebody who's on the fence, who's really thinking about it?
Man, I'm not sure. So I'm very much an all or nothing 110% like take chances person. So if they're on the fence, I don't know that I can help them.
Just go. Just do it.
Go.
Take the leap of faith.
Try it out. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a great industry. I've been doing it for a long time. I got into it because I always wanted to be a sports agent. That was like my dream. I wanted to be a sports agent. And then, unfortunately, I found out that most sports agents are actually attorneys. And I was never good at school. School was never my thing. I was always good at, when they gave me my grades, you know how the week before your report card came out, your teacher would give you your grade and what you're going to get? In that week, I would get all of my grades changed up one letter grade by the time the report card came out. That's what I was good at. Hey, what can I do, teacher? What can I do to get my grade up? Do I have to do a little extra credit? What can I do? Da-da-da. So when it came down to actually finding out, and I was a sports management major, I found out I had to go to law school to be a sports agent. I tried. I took the LSAT, didn't do good, realized I didn't want to do this. When they told me about public adjusting, I actually found a blog that compared a public adjuster to a sports agent, and that was it.
Oh, wow.
The rest is history. Because that's what we do as public adjusters. No, we are not attorneys, but we are representing our clients. We're gathering the facts, we're gathering the evidence, and we're trying to negotiate on their behalf to try to get them as much money or what they're deserved on that insurance claim. Does anybody have any comments in regards to just, I guess, I don't know, I kind of ran out of some questions. Can't think of anything really good here. You mentioned something, Sarah, about evidence. One thing I think is great about Sarah, how she compared her public adjusting to, what'd you say? A little bit of forensics, a little bit of architect, a little bit of... You take this industry, you take this to a whole other level. Brittany, I'd love for you to see one of Sarah's files one day.
Me too. I'm like looking forward to reading her blogs.
So I guess I should have also talked about why I have each of you on here. I'll start with Sarah. One of the reasons why I have Sarah on here is, like I said in the beginning, she took our course, but Sarah fascinates me. Sarah's very, very, very smart. And she takes her claims to a whole other level, a level even above mine. And I do my best to get experts. I get experts documentation wherever I can. I do my best to try to get the claim resolved. And again, provide all that documentation to try to get resolved to, frankly, Brittany I'm sure would agree anyway, to try to avoid having to go to litigation. If I need litigation, sure, obviously it's there. And still a good amount of my claims end up there anyway. But Sarah has a way of really digging into the policy, reading that policy language, looking at that and that or that could really change the definition of what they think is defined in the policy as to what is not. And then also building codes is something that Sarah is very involved with. I don't have a specific question, Sarah, but could you tell us and enlighten us a little bit about sort of your style as a public adjuster?
Yeah, so my style, as it were, of being a public adjuster essentially developed from necessity. So I very much believe in putting myself in uncomfortable and new things and situations continually, because that's how you grow as a person, see what you can do. Every person, the potential in every person is, limitless. So I'm always pushing the envelope. But in addition to that, I'm in a state where you do not win attorney's fees if you are a policyholder. So if I would like to stay in business and be effective for my clients, the buck stops at me. I am the expert. There is nobody else. There's no cavalry coming. There's no attorney coming for a lot of them, especially for my residential clients. So really, mainly out of necessity. We also don't have the wealth of third-party experts that other states like Florida do, or East Coast, California, Texas. We simply don't have a lot of those professionals available. And if they are available, they're typically going to be most cost effective because they're very expensive, because there are only a few on commercial HOA multifamily claims. So really, if I just had to learn it.
Do you have an example of something or of a claim here recently where you were really able to sort of dig into the policy and call them out on some of their BS, what they were trying to propose to you as to what was, going to be covered or not?
Yeah. I guess I'll give an example of, it was one of my very first claims ever. I'll give you an example of that I think would be helpful. So it was a weather-related cause and date of loss dispute, which are very common in all markets. And the adjuster was relying on NOAA data, which is very reliable, but NOAA specifically uses data from spotters, trained spotters. So here I had this client, is one of my first claims. The claim was completely denied, and the adjuster saying, well, there was no hail on this date, there was no wind on this date at this location. And so just my mind is definitely geared toward why and finding an answer. So why? So I started digging, and I found, I said, okay, well, where does NOAA, I asked the adjuster, where did you get your data? And he said, NOAA. And then I went to NOAA and I said, where do you get your data? And they said, you can go on their website. And I also called one of their meteorologists and asked them as well. And I found out where they got their data. And then I just connected A and B. And I said, well, if you guys rely on trade spotters, it doesn't mean that your information is not correct. It just means that there was no spotter at my client's house on the date of loss. And then all it took was for me to order a meteorology report from a meteorologist, not an algorithm, to produce, it's called forensic meteorology. Basically piece together likely weather events on that date of loss. So, and I was able to get that approved. So it's just really digging into why, and is there information and facts to back that up?
Told you guys. Sarah's a beast. What about you, Yuli? You have a claim that you could think about that you were able to sort of, do what you had to do to basically call the insurance company out and said, hey, what you're doing here, it's wrong. No way, Jose. You think of one?
Well, I
know, putting you on the spot.
No, it's fine. I'm thinking of one recently that we had, and it was after Tropical Storm Eta. And it was a denial. So one thing that we like to do is we always attempt to overturn denials. And we have actually been very successful at those. Because, also we like to gather our information, everything in advance. We don't show all of our cards, So once we're presented with a denial, then we go back in the claim, review everything and see if there's anything that we can point out. And so we had this one particular claim. I'm not going to mention the carrier, but it was denied. And they said, so it was wear and tear, typical. And so the homeowner had purchased a home. I think it was maybe like somewhere close to a year before, pulled home inspection reports, things like that. And just to make a long, story short, we attempted to overturn denial, presented, this, home inspection reports that showed there was no prior damage. So there's no wear and tear that happened in the course of a few months or a year, then the adjuster comes back and says, they're standing by their denial. So great, the insured decided, to pursue litigation. And remember the day that the insured signed the retainer with an attorney, I got a call from a newly assigned examiner saying, they have reevaluated, the case and our request to overturn the denial, and they were issuing an undisputed payment. So from a denial, the undisputed payment was somewhere around 33,000. Then of course it went to appraisal. The final appraisal award, which went to umpire, was signed for $119,000. So this was a denial to undisputed all the way, to an umpire, but it was settled for $119,000.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we love those.
Yes.
We say, the client, they could have spent another 2 years, with and their ceiling had collapsed. So this is, it was a big case where the ceiling collapsed in their living room. There obviously $120,000 worth, of damage. It was a big claim, but it's just so unfair to see how they would deny something, or they would attempt to at least deny it, and see how far us as public adjusters are willing to go, and how far the homeowners are willing to go as well, because sometimes they tried, to bank on maybe the insured will get desperate and they don't want to wait, and they'll settle first for less. So we were able to overturn that denial, and that's something that we're very proud of.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think here in Florida we have a little bit of an epidemic as public adjusters, where we're so used to seeing a denial, handing it off to an attorney like Britney, like, go ahead and take it, when we don't really even give it a shot. We don't even give it a try. Like, hey, what can we work with? Sarah does not have that, benefit to just go ahead and do that. She's going to have to really dig deep and figure it out and try to find the coverage if it's there. But, obviously in Florida, I think we need to step our game a little bit, because I'm sure, Britney, you could agree, if we do get a denial as a public adjuster and we give it a shot to try to reverse it and they stick with it, if in our shot that we give, we provide documentation, we provide evidence that supports our argument, and whether or not they want to stick with their decision or not, I think, Britney, you could agree, it's going to make your case a lot stronger now, where you're like, look, you guys denied this claim, but my public adjuster already provided more than enough evidence to prove that this case needs to be paid.
Right. But I will say that sometimes, even if you exhaust all your options, you've done everything you possibly could, you handed off the attorney, sometimes it's helpful. And I'm thinking of one specific case, an Irma case, really nice older couple, huge property, huge ranch house, barn, several acres. They had horses, and it was denied. Went to litigation. We ended up actually getting the field adjuster's photos. And I mean, there were like 500 photos. And of course they gave them to us in a jumbled mess and all these files. But there was one photo where a tree had hit like a corner of the roof. And that was literally all we needed to overturn the denial and get them, $150,000 to get the roof replaced and fix everything else. So sometimes necessary, if you're not getting all the information, and if you've exhausted all your options and you've given all your information, there still might be something out there. But yes, I completely agree.
And what's the advice you'd want to give to public adjusters to make sure that they're doing the job that they're supposed to be doing, so that in the case the claim does get denied or whatever it is and you take it, you have a nice solid case to build on?
What's really helpful for us is if the adjusters take notes, like very copious, detailed notes about everything that's going on, not just even a timeline. I love timelines when they're given to us, but something about, hey, this adjuster said this, or, this person was only in the attic for a minute and a half, only popped his head in. There's little details like that are helpful. If it's denied and it comes to us and we have to start taking depositions, we can then use that information to get deeper into what we need to know from the field adjuster, the corporate rep, whoever, we're speaking with.
Sarah, can you record without the other person knowing in Minnesota?
So in Minnesota is a one-party consent state, but we don't utilize that. Many do, but we don't.
I'm just asking because I want to go back to Britney. I heard somebody explain to me the other day, hearsay. I like to note take the file as soon as possible, as soon as we have an inspection. My strategy, because again, I told you guys my writing, I don't like to write too much. I'll send a voice note to my assistant and she'll put it into the notes. But there is a factor. It does affect if I note take that inspection a week or a month after, as opposed to on the day of or the day after, correct?
Yeah, I wouldn't try to submit your voice memos or your notes, as evidence. It's really for us to know what we need to be asking about and looking for, so we can help build the evidence for the case. But from any kind of standpoint. If you're taking notes, I would do it at like during that time. So if I go to an inspection, doesn't matter whose inspection it is, I'm taking notes furiously through the entire thing, because I know that 15 minutes after, an hour after, a day after, especially a week after, I'm not going to remember 80% of what happened.
Yeah. And then it's not admissible, right? Anyway?
None of that is actually admissible.
But it's discoverable.
Discoverable, maybe. Not my notes, possibly your notes. I'd still fight that.
I want to go to you guys individually. We don't have too much more here. Some of the stuff that you guys are doing to help grow your business, I'd like to go, I guess, one by one. Some of the things that you guys are doing as business owners to help grow your business, grow your brand, and try to take your job and take your sort of profession to the next level. Sarah, I'd like to start with you. Where are you going now in regards to, I guess, online, social media, in person, whatever it is? What are some of the things that we can look forward to from Sarah Parker?
Oh, well, along the policyholder advocacy and just basic policyholder education about insurance, because people really just do not understand anything about insurance. Most of their education comes from, advertising. So you're going to have a lot of that, we're going to take great care of you, all of those things. But even when I tell clients, your policy is a contract, they're like, oh, I didn't think of it that way, and the bar to entry with this knowledge is quite high. I've had quite a few clients that are attorneys or lawyers, very incredibly intelligent people that are like, look, I don't know this area of law. I'm going to hire you as my expert, and I'm going to rely on you because I know enough to know what I don't know. So, and I don't want to mess it up. So we're really, really ramping up the education piece of it. We're going to be curating policyholder resources. I'm going to be, in my blog, I have all kinds of, policy excerpts and things like that people need to be watching out for. And then also with the policyholder advocacy piece, you're going to see a lot of me with volunteering with United Policyholders, especially, as long as a couple of other groups. And I already volunteer 300 hours per year to policyholder advocacy, and I have for 4 years straight. So, but you're going to see some concentrated efforts and some neat things coming. So
that's awesome. Sarah, where can they find your blog? It's not out yet.
Yep, it's okay. There. It is a PPA claim. That's Parker Public Adjusting, ppaclaim.com/blog. And we have the Claim Pulse blog. And you can also follow us on social media. We will be having, if you prefer not to read the long form blog, and they will be long form. If any of you who are watching are familiar with anything you've seen me write, you know that I am not light on the words. But if you just want a gentle educational drip, you can follow our social media here shortly, and we'll have that for you too. So,
guys, you have to follow Sarah because you're going to get a wealth of information. Julie, what about you? What's on the forefront for Miss Julie Ibarra and her public adjusting career?
All right. Well, as Monarch, we always have a lot of plans, but it's for us right now, we're concentrating on, the branding. We're already in multiple states. So we really want to, fine tune those processes and be, a national public adjuster, being able to offer services, nationwide, and just kind of like streaming, the services that we offer and transferring that from from our headquarter office into other offices as well in other states. So, still very early on, we're just in 2 other states, but our goal is to expand and offer services.
Well, you guys got it in place. Another book that I rave about is called the E-Myth. E-Myth Revisited is the newer version of it. And what the E-Myth talks about is about basically putting your policies and procedures so tight from A to Z that you could literally take your business, and whether you want to sell it or just give it to somebody who doesn't know the first thing about public adjusting, they can take these policies and procedures and run a successful public adjusting firm. And the reason why I bring that up is every time I talk to Edgar or Yuli or it's about Monarch, that's like in my opinion, what they really specialize in, and they've got it tight, and it's fantastic. So I think you guys are going to be extremely successful in going like that and doing that.
Thank you.
And Miss Alexander, Miss at Lawyer Brit on IG, on Insta.
Lawyer.Brit.
Lawyer.Brit. You couldn't get Lawyer Brit?
Didn't look as good.
Oh, I see. It's all a part of the branding.
But I do have a trademark, so anybody listening, you cannot use Lawyer Brit.
Of course you do. Like any other attorney, of course you do. What about you, Brittany? What do you got in the forum? I'm sure you got a lot of plans. What's some of the things that you've got sort of to look forward to?
Yeah, so I am really looking forward to some events that are happening at the end of this year. Roof conference, educational. I can't wait.
Commercial claims advocate Miami meetup November 19th in
that
Miami.
One too.
Okay.
Going off what Sarah was saying, so yes, people are very undereducated about insurance. I've tried to combat this obviously through social media, but what people don't see behind the scenes is for all of our clients, the people who have signed our contract and we are working on their claim, they have access to what we call the Litigation Success Guide, which is a library of videos that explain, specifically litigation, but insurance litigation. So, I can tell a client, I can send them an email and say, hey, just an update on your case. We've got defendant's motion for extension of time to respond to our discovery. And they're going to say, that's gibberish. What does that mean? And so we've collected these, I'm recording these videos to explain, well, this is what a motion for extension of time is. Here's how that works. Here's how it affects discovery. Here's what discovery is. Here's how you prepare for your, engineer's inspection or your deposition. So educating like crazy, because this is, it's a frustrating, sometimes somewhat scary time for a lot of our clients because this is their home, they've got damage. They don't understand why their insurance company is not paying. So trying to provide as many resources as possible to educate the client. We have plenty, but I can't wait to record more.
Awesome. Education is key, right? It's so important. I still meet people. What's a public adjuster? What's a public adjuster? They just don't know anything about our industry. Ladies, this is awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. You three are true leaders in this industry, not just on a female standpoint, although I just was excited to have 3 females on the podcast. Just in general, you three are significant leaders in this industry, and I'm just really happy to have had you on. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to come on, sharing your story, sharing your knowledge and expertise in this industry. And I truly feel that the 4 of us will continue to build on this relationship. Anything that you guys need from me at all, I hope you guys know that I will be there, whatever you guys need. And I hope the same goes for you guys as well. So yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on. That was fun.
Yeah,
Thanks, Vince.
thank you
That
for
was so
having
much fun.
me. Pleasure
It
to
was
meet
nice
you guys.
meeting you ladies. Likewise.
Nice meeting you guys as well.